Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future home buyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of home ownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC. DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. LoFi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent. License lender. Broker number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender. License number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Sanderson looking in, zone for a pass. He's looking for King, intercepted. He's going to go down the right side. Lawrence down to the 20, 30, down to the 40. He might go all the way.
3rd down and 7. Good jump off the line by Strahan, who gets the sack. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet, airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
4-man rush. Eli throwing into traffic on the sideline. They're going to rule a catch by Manning.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to John About the GMen, the Giants Football Podcast. I'm Big Chase, joined by Joe Aguirre. And last week, we talked a little bit about the Giants. We mainly previewed the games and what to expect from the upcoming season. But today, we're talking about players, player expectation, player personnel. Joe, first question I have for you. A lot of new faces coming into the Giants. I mean, we talked a lot about Joe Shane. We talked about a lot about Brian Daboll. But as far as players go, what new face for the Giants do you expect to come in and make an immediate impact?
Trayvon Thibodeau is going to be a beast, and I think it's going to start on day one. Everything I've heard so far out of camp is that this guy looks like the real deal, like a superstar quality player. So I think to me, that's the biggest one. I think, to me, really, that defense will be as good as he can be. If he can be a great player, you'll have a great defense. If he's a pretty good player, you'll have a pretty good defense. And if he disappoints, I think you'll have a disappointing defense.
Yeah, and I mean, there has been so much bad stuff coming out about the Giants this training camp. A lot of miscues offensively. There was a report that Daniel Jones threw such a bad pass it hit one of the fans. So that isn't good, but everything good has been coming with Kayvon Thibodeau. And I mean, even you saw it right from the draft, him going and talking to Michael Strahan, him treating it like a business and everything. He knows what he's here for. He's here. I mean, even a lot of people were cutting him slack for his last season at Oregon, but I mean, that's his mind, his business mindset. He wasn't gonna put himself in harm's way to affect his draft stock when he has an opportunity like this. So I think, I think Kayvon Thibodeau is a big name. I think we'll talk a lot about the rookies for the new additions. I think a guy like John Feliciano, I'm a big guy. Of course, I'm going to say the old lineman, but him at center, I think that'll be great. In the NFL, the center, he is that quarterback of the O-line. And he has so much experience being drafted by the Raiders and then also playing for the Bills. Like, he's been around, and I think he will be the big with the offensive line has been lacking leadership. I know we saw a couple years ago we thought Nate Solder was going to be that guy. It really wasn't. I mean, and then the past couple years you've had the young guys being the real shining light, but like, they don't know how to lead. They don't have that experience, and that's going to build with time. Bringing in a veteran like this to really lead everything, I think, will be big. But I mean, talking about Kayvon Thibodeau, I think that's going to lead into my next question. Who is the face that on the Giants? My bad. What player do you expect to improve from last year? And I think with Kayvon Thibodeau being there and people, I think they already have him on his radar, especially with some struggling teams. And once he starts to make that impact on the field, I think more and more people will get on his radar. I think a guy that will improve from last year is Azeez Ojulari. I know he had some solid sack numbers. I mean, he led the Giants in sacks. But I think having that focus be on the other side of the line will free him up, make more of an impact, not just in the pass rush, in the run game, and be able to get some. And also, I've been preaching this since he was drafted. Go back and look at what he did at Georgia. Every year he got better. I expect the same thing in the NFL. Every year, him to keep getting better. And, I mean, we talked about it last week. The pass rush is the big thing. I mean, especially with the struggles at cornerback right now for the Giants. I mean, without Bradbury, really only having Adoree Jackson, who had a rough year last year, and now you're also putting a rookie, the third-round draft pick, Cordell Flott at starting right now on the depth chart. So that I think that's going to be rough. So being able to get to the quarterback is going to be big for this Giants defense to succeed. But Joe, so I think Azeez Ojulari is going to be that player who we expect to improve from last season and needs to improve from last season. But who do you expect?
Well, that's a really good one. I've got two guys who were on the roster last year who I think are both going to play much, much better this season. One was out most of the year with an injury, being Blake Martinez. To me, dude, just having that guy on the field and calling the defense is going to make this defense better. Like, plain and simple. They struggled last year with the defensive play calling. You saw a lot of scrambling. We talked about it on this show a lot. So I think Blake Martinez being back in the middle of the defense makes a huge difference. And then the other guy, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I saw yesterday he said he was going to focus on keeping out the noise, and I thought, focus on running is what you should do. You focus on running. You know, fact of the matter is and Saquon Barkley recognizes it hasn't gone well the last 3 years. He's been hurt. He's been a huge disappointment. This team's been terrible, and he's a big part of the reason why. He's either been out or ineffective. I still think this guy's unbelievably talented. I see really big things for him. I'll give you somebody who I'm concerned about, but at the same time, and it hasn't gone well in camp so far, Kenny Golladay dropped some passes. Hasn't looked great there. They gave this guy a ton of money to be a number one wide receiver for Daniel Jones. He's got to start catching passes. There's no excuse for this. He can't be quietly on the field like he was last year. That was absolutely terrible. And another guy, a guy who really could be an impactful player, is Darnay Holmes. And early on in camp here, 4 turnovers, he had a couple of touchdowns. He's looked really great. The Giants secondary definitely going to need some people to step up. The draft pick Belton has also played pretty well in camp. So that's the big issue for me, is that secondary. You know, you lose Bradbury, you lose Jabril Peppers. It didn't feel like that secondary was as good to see guys sort of stepping up gives you some hope that, you start to gel, you start to play better. And again, you mentioned Ojulari, I mentioned Thibodeau. I think those two guys on the edge, that's scary. It really is. And I do see, again, the idea that the defense and Holmes in particular causing some turnovers in camp gives you hope that with the pressure that these two beasts should be putting on, there should be some errant throws, and it should set your defense up for situations where they can get turnovers and pick sixes, and we like that.
Yeah, I mean, I said it since he was drafted. I think there is the potential for this to be a OCU Manura, Michael Strahan type deal, but I mean, everything needs to go right, and things need to be put in the right. They just need to be in the right place, and they need to be able to go out and compete, and I think they do. And I mean, obviously, coaching is going to be big with that as well, because I mean, we've seen the disasters. Hopefully, we can't not talk about the Giants and not talk about what.
I think Leonard Williams is going to be a huge factor.
Yeah.
And I don't think he needs to have 10 sacks to be a huge factor if he can be such trouble up the middle, as disruptive as he's been since he's been a New York Giant. And even when the sacks aren't there, Jace, the amount of pressure this guy puts on and the nuisance he becomes. Now you got two bangers on the outside too. If Jihad Williams or whoever ends up being the other down lineman here, these guys can make again. I mean, it's the whole point now of defense is pressuring the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
This is a very pass happy league. You got to pressure that quarterback, and it's something the Giants just simply haven't done enough of, literally since Jason Pierre-Paul left. So to finally have some impactful guys rushing on the outside, and again, thinking about Wink Martindale and some of the things he's going to try to do, the defense is definitely going to be better than the offense this year. And at this juncture, they're clearly the better unit.
Yeah. And I mean, we have been seeing that with training camp. And bringing it up, I mentioned it earlier, a lot of miscues from Daniel Jones. I feel like we're talking about player expectations. Joe, what do you expect from Daniel Jones this year?
Well, I expect him to give his best effort. I hope he's learning from this disastrous camp, what not to do, where not to put the football, because listen, a bad camp, if you're figuring things out from it, it's beneficial. If you're just in there and you're lost and being exposed in camp by your teammates, then that's tragic. And you'd be in for one of those 3-4 win kind of seasons. I don't anticipate that. So I'm going to say I'm hoping this guy's learning some new plays, learning a new playbook. Clearly, I mean, that's the case, right? A whole new offense here. So I think Daniel Jones is talented enough. I think if he figures this whole thing out, if he can understand the offense, and if, again, you got so many guys who were out, so many new pieces on this offense, it is going to take them some time to really get gelling and to get guys to be on the same page. Hearing about, Saquon going to be splitting out and stuff. Okay, that's new. It's going to have to learn that. And everyone else is going to have to learn that. I mean, this offense should be a lot better. It should be, it should be. It might not be. And again, it's all going to rest on Daniel Jones, but I still believe in the same potential I saw in Saquon in his rookie year. You saw it in Daniel Jones in his rookie year. It's not like they forgot how to play. It wasn't like they got lucky. I mean, these guys are pretty talented football players, and the way things have gone the last few seasons, I mean, they're the most responsible for this in the positions that they're in, DJ being obviously the quarterback and Saquon being what this offense is all supposed to flow through. So listen, I've said it before. Look, if Saquon doesn't run for 1,300 yards and catch for another 7, this team is doomed.
Yeah.
I don't listen. Again, dude, I'm Matt Beretta and Devontae Booker. Great. None of those guys is going to lead you to victories.
No.
They're not. Those are not full-time starting running backs in the NFL. They're nice complement pieces, and they both might have nice seasons alongside Saquon, but this team goes really, to me, as far as he goes.
Yeah, or I think the only way you can probably offset it if he struggles is get Kenny Golladay, but I mean he's been struggling. I think a guy like Kadarius. I mean you can offset it with the pass game, but I don't know. I think going back to Daniel Jones, I think really like you said, we've seen the glimpses. I think it's really just the mesh between him and Brian Dable. That's going to be the big question mark for me. Is Brian Dable going to be able to reel him in, be able to make sure all the guys are in the right spots? Because I think he will. I think it will be once Daniel Jones understands it, I think this will be a very easy offense for him. He'll be able to get the ball in the right spot, be able to make some plays. But then there are going to be those instances where he's going to need to do something with his arm, go a little bit outside the box, scramble a little bit, make a play down the field. And from what the big thing with Daniel Jones, at least for me, is when those happen, he gets some good ones, but he also gets some bad ones. And when the bad ones happen, it seems like at times they can come in bunches. So he's making bad mistake after bad mistake. So that's the real key to me for Daniel Jones' success this year. Can Brian Dable reel him in and go, okay, yeah, you did this. Yeah, I know where most of the time it's when they're down. Yeah, I know you're down and we have to make some plays, but still trust the offense. Still trust that we're going to get there. Don't get too flustered. So I think it's really Daniel Jones' success is going to be about Brian Dable. And Brian Dable, he's shown that in the past with Josh Allen with Buffalo. So I expect great things. So only time will tell.
We'll find out in the next couple of weeks whether it's Josh Allen or Brian Dable that's the genius in that resurrection and in the rise of the Bills in the AFC East.
Yeah.
Again, we know Daniel Jones a great athlete. We know he can make, he's got a nice touch. We know he can make throws. Danny Dimes isn't a nickname he gave himself, right? This offense going to give him a chance to make plays, both with his legs and with his arm. You've given him a ton of weapons in a much better offensive line. You would think if this guy's competent like you and I think he is, this team should be in pretty good shape.
Yeah. Also, I think going back to him getting flustered and trying to do too much, it's going to be even bigger this season because this year Daniel Jones is playing for a job. So there's going to be something in his mind saying, hey, I have to do this. I feeling like he has to do a lot more than he should. But I don't think that's the case. When is it? We talked about this all the time. All the time on this show. When is the Giants quarterback throwing for 500 yards a game? You just have to do the right thing. Get the run game going. Make the big throws when you need to on third down. And just get everything going. Manage the game. And that's all he needs to do. He just can't fall into that, I need to make plays happen. Because that's when the mistakes happen.
I'll say this. If he doesn't throw for 30 touchdowns, he won't be back next year.
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, I feel like, listen, you're talking about basically a touchdown and a half a game in 17 games. If he can't get to 30 in a league where, look, again, you got all the weapons, got all these guys on offense, he's got to approximate about 30 touchdowns. Anything under 25, is a failure to me. And also probably indicates either they played terribly or he's been hurt. So I think he's realistically got to throw for around 30 touchdowns.
Throw for 30 or 30 in general? Because he can get in on his feet.
I'll take a combo of 30, but he's got to account for 30 touchdowns minimum. honestly.
Okay.
Because look, this whole thing really runs through him. If he doesn't play well, that's it. There's you know what I mean? Look, Saquon can if the Giants don't have the ability to throw the ball down the football field with any sort of consistency, if no big play threat develops, you're going to load the box, and it's going to be the same thing we've been seeing, that when Saquon's in there, he's running for 2 yards a carry. They have to be able to throw the football down the field. You got all these guys now. You got all these great slot guys. Every reason in the world for Daniel Jones to be just zinging passes out of there quickly to all these talented guys and see what you got. Wayndale Robinson has been looking mighty fine in camp as well. So there's things to be excited for here. But again, last week, like I said, easy schedule. You look at kind of some of the things. There's a lot of ifs, though. And the chances of all of the ifs coming through is not great. Yeah. The more of the ifs that come through, the better you're going to be. If all of them hit, then you have a miracle season, and it's 2007 all over again.
Yeah. And I will say, as far as the ifs go, talked a little bit about health being a concern. There haven't been too many health issues this training camp, which is really good. Most of them are just lingering from last year, really. So I think that's pretty big. That's a because health has been the biggest issue the past few years. I mean, that's 3, I want to say. So staying healthy is going to be honestly the biggest key to the Giants' success. But all right, you mentioned Josh Allen. We will see what who is the key to the Bills' success. Josh Allen, the betting favorite for MVP, and we'll talk about who will win the MVP. But first, let's hear a word from one of our sponsors.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership, and to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Big shout out to Shamrock Home Inspection for sponsoring today's episode. Now, Josh Allen is the betting favorite. Just like the Bills were the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl, Josh Allen, betting favorite to win NFL MVP at plus 700. Joe, is he your favorite to win MVP, or who do you got?
I think anybody that knows me knows I've been a big Josh Allen fan the last couple of years. I saw this guy turning into a superstar, but no, I don't think he's going to be the MVP of the 2022 season. And I'm shocked that this guy didn't do a little bit better. I was looking at the odds on it. I think he's like 4th or 5th is Justin Herbert, the greatest quarterback ever to grace the NFL and the planet Earth. This guy's so unbelievable. He makes all the throws. He's great on his feet. I mean, how's he not going to be the MVP? It seems almost crazy to think anyone else has a chance.
He's tied with reigning MVP Aaron Rodgers, and as far as odds go. So,
yeah, there's no chance of Rodgers winning another one. Not with Justin Herbert in the competition. This guy's never cost his team a single game. It's always the coach or the defense's fault. Justin Herbert is a perfect NFL player.
Yeah?
That's what I hear.
Well,
and then I looked at the odds, and I'm like, how is he not first? All these brilliant sports writers telling me how amazing this guy is. And again, it's never his fault when they lose. Clearly, he'll be the MVP.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with all the offseason moves they made this year, he's going to have if they do lose, I think he is going to get some blame. But I think
I'm kidding. Tom Brady is my pick.
You got Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Back with the vengeance. Julio Jones in the mix.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I bet you Cameron Brate, if Gronkowski doesn't come back, catches like 75 passes. So scoop him up in your fantasy leagues, people. I know he's available. He always is. Cameron Brate. That guy's going to have a huge year. Yeah, I mean, dude, they bring in Julio Jones. You know? Come on. That's the thing with the Bucks. It's just a constant retool of like, hey, who do you want now? I'll go get you some other great players. Yeah, I mean, the defense is still really good. Tom Brady is back. Tom Brady obviously wants to win another Super Bowl before he calls it quits. Not enough already.
Well, speaking of Super Bowls, and Tom Brady, he's when he wins the MVP, does not have as much luck in the Super Bowl. I will say that. So we as Giants fans know that.
Well, good. Then hopefully he loses and it'll make him come back for his 37th season.
All right. I'm gonna say Joe Burrow plus 1,300 right now. Re-up that offensive line. I think just giving him more time to throw, get Jamar Chase in the mix. I think he's gonna. A lot of people, like you're talking, a lot of people feel how you feel about Justin Herbert, about Joe Burrow. Sick and tired of him. But I mean, all this guy has done is win. He tore his ACL.
He's grown on me,
and he's won.
You may recall before his injury, his rookie season, I said, I'm on record on a few of these shows as saying, I didn't love the ball out of the guy's hand. I also didn't think he played well against good defenses. And I wasn't wrong about that. I think since he's been back, I think he's played better. Last year, Trevor Keys and I, early in the season, were talking about the Bengals a whole lot because of how good he was doing, how the connection with Jamar Chase. We thought they were a 2022 team. We didn't see the run in them late in the year, but we saw a team that was getting a lot better and a quarterback who, and this guy's passed every test for me now, Joe Burrow. I was definitely, the way I feel about Herbert, I felt about Burrow, where this guy was sort of getting credit for like not really doing anything. You know, the 300 numbers, if your team's got a passing offense and you're in shootouts constantly, well, yeah, I would think 320, 350, 3-4 touchdowns. How many picks did you throw? Did you throw one in the end zone with 2.5 minutes to go? Because that could have been part of the reason why your team lost. You know, you don't have to throw a pick with no time left on the clock to cost your team the game. Sometimes it happens in the middle of the fourth quarter when you've gone ahead and blown it. So I felt like between the two, Burrow closed the gap on living up to what people say he is. Justin Herbert, for me, outside of the great numbers, I don't know. He to me just hasn't proven it yet. You saw Josh Allen do it last year, last year. Great season from the Bills, great season from him. I still feel like that team's got some deficiencies. And I like the Bills. I could see why they're a betting favorite, but I don't think that there's a perfect team in the NFL this year.
Yeah, and I mean, going back to even last year, the upsets and everything, and no one picked the Bengals to go to the Super Bowl, so anything could happen in the NFL. But it also with Justin Herbert, it is kind of a Justin Herbert thing, but I mean the Chargers since 2000, they have the most losses by one score since 2000. That's crazy. Philip Rivers going to get it done.
It's a complete failure by the head coach and the defense, clearly.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, yeah, Philip Rivers going to do it. Now Justin Herbert's having some struggles. Hopefully, I like the Chargers as far as like a team goes. I mean, I've loved Justin Herbert, and they brought in some pieces, so it's really do or die time for them. Or I mean, he's still young, but
yeah,
we can see. But yeah, I like Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty. continue to make a legend. I mean, I said it before the Super Bowl. He's going to Canton. He's going to Canton, especially if he gets an MVP this year.
Oh, good. I mean, him and Mahomes can go win together.
Yeah. I mean, Mahomes is second favorite, and I feel like we sleep on Mahomes a lot. He's good, but he's gonna really have a prove yourself season this year without Tyreek Hill. He's still got Travis Kelce.
I think when you put up the numbers that guy put up his first 4 seasons, you had the kind of year you had last year. They got off to a rough start. They had to scramble back. He wasn't going to be the MVP with those numbers. He's gonna have to think about Tom Brady when he is the MVP and the numbers that he puts up. And again, you're sort of kind of fighting the ghosts of MVP past. You know, if you throw it for 50 touchdowns in a season, you're probably not going to be the MVP the year you throw 34. Even if you're leading the league somehow, you know what I mean? It's like that's a massive drop off to what you can do. So I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, speaking numbers, one more thing before we move on. Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams, if he still puts up beastly numbers, you have to give it to him, right? Just for the factor of him not having a stud like that.
Maybe, but what if Derrick Henry runs for 2,500 yards?
He'll be Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, but I do. That does also suck. I feel like Derrick Henry should get a lot more say as far as MVP goes. Even Jonathan Taylor, after the season he had last year, it's crazy. I'm looking at the stats right now. Jonathan Taylor's plus 5,000, and his quarterback Matt Ryan is plus 4,000 to win MVP. Who's the real MVP? Who's going to be the real MVP of the Colts? The most valuable player on the Colts. Who's it going to be? It's not going to be Matt Ryan. It's going to be Jonathan Taylor. So, yeah, that sucks.
Vegas knows. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the quarterback award.
Yeah, it is. But since AP in, what was that, 2008? So, yeah. All right. That's going to do it for the NFL talk. We got another goated debating who the GOAT. Last week it was Game Day Food Eats, and none of us said it, but Wings won. I got updates. I got Facebook notifications all week long. Everyone's saying wings. So I
think there's too many people have taken their Sundays to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
And it's greatly affecting people's judgment. You don't have to eat chicken. There's other places with televisions.
Yeah, you're right. But okay. We got another fun goated for you. But first, one more word from one of our sponsors.
We can expect another wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you don't have your home serviced for mosquito control and you find you're spending most of your outside time swatting those little pests, or you did have your yard sprayed but you still have bites all over your body, you're in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. All mosquito control service is not the same. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program. You can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. The promise has awarded them an industry-leading customer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCNCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of the summer mosquito-free.
Big shout out to Mosquito Shield for sponsoring today's episode. Now, this week's GOATed. Joe, what is the GOAT of all sports movies? Stepping outside the realm of football. I mean, it could be a football one, but all sports movies. What's the GOAT, Joe?
I'm going to give you my 5-1. Okay, I'm going to give you a top 5 list. Thought a lot about this, and I'll explain my rationale behind each as I go. Coming in at number 5, I think one of the funniest movies, especially sports movies of all time, star Charlie Sheen and Corbin Burnson. It's called Major League. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. Okay, that's my number 5 movie of all time. Coming in at number 4, a great movie from Martin Scorsese, starring Robert De Niro. Raging Bull is one of the great movies of all time. If you haven't seen it, it's a boxing movie about Jake LaMotta. It's amazing. You didn't get me down, Ray, is my favorite line because my brother's name is Ray. I could always use that whenever we were scrapping if he didn't take me down. You understand? Number 3, we're going to stay in the ring. It's Rocky. You could probably just do this list. Could be 1 through 5 Rocky, but I decided I was going to mix it up. Coming in, Jace, at number 2, a football movie, and one that breaks my heart, makes me cry every single time. You love this little bastard out of the Midwest playing out his dreams at Notre Dame, Rudy. And the number 1 greatest sports movie of all time stars one of the great actors of our lifetime, Mr. Kevin Costner. That movie, Field of Dreams. Dad, want to have a catch? It's already happening, Jace. The tears. Here they come. That's a solid list right there.
That is a solid list. Yeah, I mean, you can't. There's so many good sports movies. This is so hard. But yeah, I think all of those are up there. But some that you didn't mention before I give my own.
Yeah.
The Miracle on Ice. Talk about, I mean, historical, and then also yeah.
Don't forget about another great movie starring the great John Candy, one of the most amazing sports movies of all times, a Disney film. You mentioned history. How about Cool Runnings, man? The Jamaican bobsled team. That is a story and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah. So yeah, I got Miracle on Ice. Or The Miracle. I don't remember what it's called. But yeah,
Miracle on Ice.
Yeah. So that obviously historical significance, Cold War, and then the one thing a lot of people always forget, that was the semifinal. A lot of people just equate that to the final, but the U.S. had to go beat, I believe it was Sweden or Denmark afterwards. But yeah, so that, and then obviously speaking of the United States versus Russia, Rocky IV, Ivan Drago, going back after killing Creed in the ring, going avenging it. That's always fun. But then as far as best football movie goes for me, I will spoil it. My GOAT sports movie of all time is a football movie. But as far as the best football movie, though, I know it's weird, but just because this was played in my locker room before every single game, any given Sunday, that Al Pacino speech just gets me amped up every time. Like, just psychs you up, go out, and then other great football movie, Friday Night Lights. Dealing with that one's big because they don't win in the end. You're 1 yard short, and sometimes you lose. You got to deal with that. So I think that's very, very big. No,
somebody just chimed in. Brian's song. That's a great football movie. This about Brian Piccolo and Gale Sayers. I love The Replacements, the Keanu Reeves movie.
Yeah, that one.
Again, it's hilarious. Varsity Blues is also a killer football movie. I think that's James Vanderbeek, maybe.
Yeah, James Vanderbeek.
Right? Yeah, that's another really good movie.
Yeah.
Pride of the Yankees. That's kind of an older movie, but certainly great. It's the story of Lou Gehrig.
Yeah.
Angels in the Outfield. I don't hate that movie. That's what's his face from Lethal Weapon? Glover. Danny Glover.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angels in the Outfield. Mr. Cobb. Mr. There's so many.
The
There's
Sandlot.
so many. The Sandlot, certainly a great movie. I always felt like The Sandlot was a little overrated. I played a lot of outside backyard kind of baseball.
Yeah.
No, just like Friday Night Lights, I thought failed on 3 levels. They failed on teenagers, they failed on football, and they failed on high school. They inaccurately portrayed all of those things in the movie and then carried that right over into the ridiculous television show that I wanted to watch.
I
Tried.
never watched the show.
Oh, God, it was terrible.
I just stick with the movie.
There was a lot of statutory rape that was celebrated in Friday Night Lights. Like, nah, I don't know. These underage kids, no good.
But before I get to mine, we still haven't mentioned my number one. But
I know what it is.
Okay.
Tanya.
I do love Margot Robbie. But no, I got to mention because I also host Posting Up podcast. I got to mention some basketball movies. Coach Carter with Samuel L. Jackson. Great movie. Also talking about historical stuff. Glory Road, I think, is one of the most underrated movies of all time, especially sports movies. That Texas Western team going and winning the championship against Kentucky. That was big.
White Men Can't Jump's hilarious.
Basketball
movie.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes.
What is your all-time favorite sports movie? Hoosiers?
No.
Okay, good basketball movie. All right, so then it's got to be Space Jam 2.
No, screw LeBron James. No, it's a football movie. The reason I'm putting this at number one is because all sports movies really give you that team feel, that camaraderie, that coming together type thing. But I don't think anyone necessarily does it more than this. Remember the Titans. Denzel. I mean, the coming. I mean, people hate. I hate that you put Rudy on your list because that's fake. A bunch of Hollywood bull crap, but I get it. But they all are. It's a movie. But for Remember the Titans.
Is the category greatest sports story turned into a movie or just greatest movie?
Just greatest sports movie.
The idea of Rudy is us. We're all Rudy. There's a Rudy in all of us. That was the whole point of the movie. You can do it, and people will chant, Rudy, Rudy. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm glad it wasn't based on an actual person, the real actual person, because that guy wasn't very good at all. That guy didn't have a sack.
Then don't make it about the actual person. This guy's walking around.
Do people know that?
Do
people know? Yeah,
Rudy.
that the real story about Rudy, it didn't end with him like coming up
Rudy
with a clutch
is just
sack.
propaganda.
Yeah.
But
and if I had to guess, they were really mean to Rudy.
Yeah. Go look up who was on that team. Joe Montana was on that team, right? I think it was.
Was he? Yeah. Dude, they were giving Rudy wedgies and all sorts of stuff.
He has stories about that. Go look that up on YouTube. Joe Montana talking about Rudy. It'll tell you what Rudy was really like. But back to Remember the Titans. I was dealing with the race stuff. And you saw it from the coaches. You saw it from everywhere. And then just them coming together. Left side, strong side. Just gets me and talk about crying. That movie makes me cry too. And then you got Sunshine. Just a lot of memorable, iconic people. So yeah. So Remember the Titans.
I'm gonna make it a point to watch Remember the Titans.
You've never seen it? You're crazy, Joe. What the hell, man? Denzel.
I love Denzel. I don't know how I haven't seen it.
Jeez, that's wild.
Yeah.
It's great. And that I've seen that one movie probably like 50 times.
That's my Rudy.
Okay. It makes sense. Makes sense. When they came out, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
A little bit older. Yeah, so.
The chances of my wife watching a football movie are 0.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
I'm going to have to watch Remember the Titans by myself. That's how that's going down.
So it's about race. It is about race. I think that's
my wife gets distracted by football. She thinks it's people that stand up and then everybody falls down together. I've tried to explain that there's plays there, and she'll walk into the room, look at the TV, and be like, "They're all on the ground again."
That kind of makes sense. Not gonna lie.
And then every now and again, she hears things like, "And Hightower bangs it in from 3 yards out," and she's like, "What are you watching?"
Okay, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, there's so many good. We didn't mention We didn't mention Waterboy or The Longest Yard. No, Adam Sandler movies. I think that's good. But
those are great movies.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, it's tough. Even movies in general is big. You talk about the greatest movie films. Even just a great sports movie. Yeah, there's historical, there's comedy, there's so much basketball. You can go through all the sports. But yeah, I think we at least mentioned all the ones that should be mentioned.
Tin Cup. Golf
Cup.
movie. Kevin Costner again. Hate to keep bringing Costner's name up in this, but he's been in a lot of good sports movies. Mm-hmm. If you have a Kevin Costner in your sports movie, it's probably a good movie.
Except Draft Day.
No, they can't. Look, they can't all be perfect. Dude, who went to a Hollywood studio and was like, "Hey, I got an idea. Front office, Cleveland Browns, we're making a pick." Like, no. Cleveland Browns fans don't even want to watch that on Draft Day, let alone at a movie theater for money. No. Why would anybody do that?
Yeah. Oh, actually, one we didn't mention, Moneyball. I feel like Moneyball should be mentioned.
I think Moneyball's just in everybody's conscience at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You like sports, like Moneyball.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Who plays Mulder, Zito, and Hudson in that movie? Answer: nobody. They pretend that those 3 guys didn't exist and anchor the Oakland A's to the playoffs year after year. The Moneyball, it helped, but having 3 superstar starting pitchers under 25, that's pretty much what did it.
All right.
Am I wrong?
So I'm not a baseball guy, so.
Well, then trust me on that one. And let's just tackle this question. Why don't the Giants take a flyer on Jimmy G? Number one, Jimmy G makes a ton of money. And the Giants don't have nearly the cap space. Now, if he gets cut by the 49ers, I think Seattle will be the first team to offer him a spot. I don't think it would be crazy for the Giants to extend an invitation. But as far as signing him at the money he makes or taking him in a trade, it's impossible for the Giants.
No, yeah. That's not going to happen.
And I don't think they're a Jimmy G away from being a great team. So I don't know what that would do.
No, yeah. And I there definitely are a lot more teams, a lot more desperate to get him. So I think it does kind of make somewhat a sense looking at it, but it's not realistic.
Tyrod Taylor is going to win a couple of games for the Giants this year.
Okay.
Just putting that out there. Maybe it's a couple of starts when Daniel Jones inevitably gets hurt at some point in the season. But Tyrod Taylor is a good quarterback.
Or it's because the Giants are doing so well that they need to sit the starters the last.
Yeah,
2 weeks.
maybe it's
Let's
week
go.
16 and 17. They're undefeated, and Tyrod's going to start the last 2. That's a better scenario to think about, but Tyrod Taylor is going to end up being a good move by the Giants.
Okay. I like Tyrod, so hopefully we can see what.
Yeah, hopefully nobody punctures his lung with a needle.
That's the wildest thing. Oh my gosh.
That's how badly they wanted to get Justin Herbert in there. They're like, just kill this guy. Just stab him in his heart. Herbert can play.
Well, I mean, speaking along those lines, I actually there's a podcast Trent Williams did. I don't remember the name of the podcast. It just came up on my TikTok. And the Washington Commanders were trying to force him to play while he had cancer. That's insane. Talk about bad training staffs. The Washington football team is just bad in general. But all right, that's gonna do it for today's episode about John and about the GMen. Next week we're gonna preview the first preseason game. Football's gonna get going here soon. We're starting to get in the roll of things.
Exciting.
Yeah, against the Patriots. I mean, it's preseason, but at least people are going to be out there on the field, right?
Can't wait to see Mac Jones.
Yeah, of course. Mac Jones.
Love that guy.
Yeah, Mac Jones has been doing great in training camp, him and Devontae Parker. That's all I keep reading about. Either the giant Daniel Jones hitting fans with passes or Mac Jones and Devontae Parker lighting it up. So the tale of two coins. But all right. That's going to do it for us. Big shout out to Annie Mac Home Mortgage, Shamrock Home Inspection, and Mosquito Shield for sponsoring today's episode. And as always, John About the GMen is brought to you by Clovercrest Media. Make sure you check out clovercrestmedia.com for a bunch of other great podcasts just like this one. Not just sports. We got some true crime. We got some political as well. And if you want to start your own, just go to www.clovercrestmedia.com. For myself, Big Jace, and Joe Aguirre, that has been John About the GMen, and we'll see you next week for even more Giants football. Take care, guys.
Sanderson looking in, zone for a pass. He's looking for King, intercepted. He's going to go down the right side. Lawrence down to the 20, 30, down to the 40. He might go all the way.
3rd down and 7. Good jump off the line by Strahan, who gets the sack. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet. Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
4-man rush. Eli throwing into traffic on the sideline. They're going to rule it a catch by Manning.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.